In this lesson, we're going to talk about moral development and how it was based on Lawrence Kohlberg's theories. And in order to better understand our patients, we have to have a really, really good understanding of what moral development is. And what I mean by moral development is talking about right versus wrong and how our patient views that. Now, Lawrence Kohlberg was a psychologist, and he focused all of his development on, or the majority of his development on moral theories. And he followed Jean Piaget's work. There's a lesson on Piaget, so go check him out. But Kohlberg's theories really focus on our understanding of morality from birth as we age on. And he broke it up into these 3 levels with 2 stages. And this level 1 is really like infancy to school age. And then you have or to preschool, and then you have school age, which is your level 2, and then you have your level 3 starts at like adolescence to adulthood, and it moves forward. So let's break these down a little bit further. Level 1 is your pre-conventional morality level, and it's broken down in these 2 stages. You have stage 1, and then you have stage 2. The first one is obedience versus punishment. And the child is really going to focusing on following rules, and they work to avoid punishment. They have no real understanding about the difference between what's right and avoiding punishment. And this is really focused on the infancy stage. So they'll do whatever they can to not getting in trouble, but they don't understand that it's the right choice. Now, self-interest starts to separate. This stage 2 self-interest starts to separate that a little bit more. And as the child ages, they understand that there's a difference between reward and punishment, and that they're 2 very separate things. And the thing they realize is that they start to realize that more than one right view or view of or quote unquote right exists. Like if they're 2 separate people. So like they can understand that a teacher says that something is right, and that a parent can also say that something is right. And this is going to be your preschool aged children. Now, level 2 is the conventional level, and you have stage 3 and stage 4. And these are for your school age children. Both of these are. The first one is called conformity and interpersonal, and this stage really focuses on maintaining friendships and also about gaining approval and respect from other people. And this develops a little bit further, and you're going to start to get into the stage of social order. And so what they want to do is they start to realize that they have their own self-morality. And they also have their own understanding of right versus wrong, but they also want to do things that are going to maintain the status quo, meaning they don't want to like disrupt what's going on. So you'll have a classroom, and you'll have these kids that they raise their hand because they realize if they just shout out and answer or yell to get the teacher's attention, they're going to disrupt that social order. For these kids, they want to raise their hand, and it's going to allow them to get the teacher's attention, but they also are going to do it in order to maintain that calmness of the classroom. Now, this last level is called the post-conventional stage or post-conventional level, and you've got stage 5 and you've got stage 6. And they're based on social contract and these universal principles. With social contract, this is going to be most of your adolescents and your teens, and they start to realize that law exists, but it's not quite the same as morality. They understand you have to follow the law because the rules are set up for society, but they understand that some of the laws may sometimes not make sense, and what they want to do is, at this point, they can challenge law, or they realize that they can change it depending on the needs of society. So if they find a particular law or rule that doesn't make sense, they can start to challenge the system. And in stage 6, with universal principles, adults really start to understand how their own view of morality starts to include everyone. It starts from the simple idea that we all have our own morality, and then we start to extend our view of morality to everyone else. And obviously, that's not going to go as smoothly as everyone would like, but it's important to realize that with time, this is the time where the adults are really going to start to reach out and do whatever they think is going to be the most benefit to everybody based on how they view their own morality. So I bet after all of that, you're wondering, how does this fit in for me? Well, like we talked about in the other lesson on the overview of the stages of development, it's important that you understand your own position. If you don't understand where you're at for yourself, and you're not going to be able to take care of your patients. So when you deal with morality, it's really important that you separate your morality from your patients. And what you view as right or wrong may be different from somebody else. And it's really important that you understand their perspective, because that's going to allow you to anticipate what choices they're going to make. I'll use vaccines for an example. Not everybody agrees that vaccinations are good. And question mark. And your patients may not agree that they're beneficial for everybody, and they may perceive vaccines as something to be a bad thing. But as your role as a nurse, you understand that vaccines may be different and that they're there to promote health and wellness. And so this is the point where you're going to need to separate your own morality from that of your patients. Also, views of morality may differ between people in the healthcare team. So it's really important that you understand that you work with your providers to work on a common goal for your patient. Today's lesson really focuses on the idea of human development and cognition for your patients as they begin to really develop their ideas of morality. And it also focuses on health promotion so that you can focus on taking care of your patient. So let's recap. Lawrence Kohlberg, he was the one that developed his theories on morality, and he piggybacked a lot of his stuff off of Jean Piaget. And for your pre-conventional stage, you're really focusing on reward versus punishment. So this is infancy to preschool. Your school-age children here in your conventional stage are really going to start to focus on relationships and building those and how they fit into society. And then lastly, in your post-conventional stage, you're looking at the benefits of society as a whole, and understanding is developed during the teens through adulthood. Last thing I want to focus on is separating our own morality from your patient so that we can have a better understanding on how your patient views right from wrong, and then how that's going to impact their care. So that's our lesson on theory of moral development. Make sure you check out all the resources attached to this lesson. Now go out and be your best selves today, and as always, happy nursing.